Hello and welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching TVP World interview from Vilnius. The head of the Ukrainian Center for Combating Disinformation, Andrey Kovalenko, has recently stated that the Russians are preparing to attack the Baltic States. In the current circumstances, it will take about 4-6 years to prepare. To discuss this statement and many more, we are joined today by the former Special Operations Forces officer and defense and security expert, Aurimas Navys. Hello, Aurimas, and thank you for joining us today.
Good day to you, to our viewers. It's a pleasure to be here.
First of all, what's your take on this Andrey Kovalenko's statement?
Ukraine and Russia, they are both countries in a war, physical war, conventional war, and of course information war as well is going on. So not only in Ukraine and Russia, but also in Europe, in our countries as well. So I just view, my view is very simple. It's one of many of the statements that we have had already. And, you know, it's just a matter of 4, 5, 6 or 7 years and when Russia is going to attack. As I can understand Ukraine side, you know, it's one of the very simple things how you can probably achieve more support from the West.
Okay, so would you say that this is not an attempt to sow panic, or what would that be?
I don't think it has something to relate with panic. Some decision makers in the West already spoke in such words like Germany Chancellor, like UK former Chief of Defense, you know, many analysts. So it's always, I think we should look with a not very small, but a big grain of salt into all this, because just think about that. Why should Russia attack in 4, 5, or 6 years if Russia knows then that after 4, 5, or 6 years we will be prepared and ready for its attack? It's nonsense.
But then we all know and we all saw that Russia definitely uses hybrid war. Against the Baltic States, against Europe in general. How could we prepare then for this hybrid war for this next, I don't know, 10 years, for example?
And that is exactly the different question, because when I say that to speak about Russia's attack in 4 or 5 or 6 years is kind of nonsense. But we have also to state, and I'm stating here now and always, you have to understand that Russia is capable of attacking us now. I mean, hybrid warfare, which is going on already. So all the psychological operations, information wars, influence operations with elections, sabotage actions, we've seen that already. We've seen postages coming out of Lithuania and Poland to possibly other countries like United States. Thanks to our secret services and intelligence, they were stopped. But all these actions were organized by Russian military intelligence and foreign intelligence service. So Russia already actually is acting. It's just not conventional attacks. Of course, we should say that after information war, after information operations, we call that in NATO terms shaping operations. Usually what comes, it's physical attack. But that doesn't mean that there is a time limit or some time, actual time, like 5, 4, or 6 years. Because, just look at the simple military tactics. You attack, then your enemy is weak and is not prepared. Not when it is strong and is prepared.
Sure. Okay, here's another question then. Do you think that our response to this hybrid warfare, Russian hybrid warfare, is appropriate?
No, absolutely not. You see, when we say that Russia is fighting a war, physical war, conventional war in Ukraine, we see tanks, we see troops, we see blood on the streets. And we say that we have to do something about that and to put some measures against that war. But then we say that Russia is fighting actually informational war or information war. We do not have any countermeasures that would be like in a physical plane, in a physical sphere. if it's information war that Russia fights against us, so we have to say that we also have to have means to counter that war. If it is a war, we have to fight it.
Okay. Let's move on. So after Donald Trump's victory, the Kremlin stated that it is ready for dialogue on Ukraine, but this readiness does not mean a change of war aims. So how should we understand this statement?
Elected president has now a huge psychological push to end that war, because he made a promise before he was actually elected that he can end the war in 24 hours. We all understand
exactly,
it's a nonsense.
Yes.
But anyway, it's psychologically and even, I would say, diplomatically, it's a very strong message. And the message was sent, and the message was understood. So now, I think all the means that Western world with United States was using beforehand, before Donald Trump was elected, they already, with many diplomats, analysts and mid-level politicians and decision makers, they already were saying about how Western world and Western democracies are shaping Ukraine to accept the fact that it might be
that they will have to give up some territories.
Yeah, that they, in exchange of whatever, security or agreements or whatever. And now with Donald Trump in with a president's cap, I think with his administration he will push that with double or triple strength, because it's in his interest to show that he is a strong president and he can end this war.
Okay, so just to continue your thought, in one of your recent posts, you've stated the following. One of Trump's publicly mentioned peace plans, Ukraine refuses to join NATO for 20 years, freezes the front line without taking back the lost territories, and in return, Kyiv receives enough US weapons to stop further aggression. The plan has little realistic effectiveness in itself, but if Trump and Xi Jinping agree, Putin will simply be forced to go along with it. So, firstly, why are you mentioning China here? How much of a heavy player is China in this regard?
Just in very short, in summary, China, Beijing, I think, was a primary agent to start that war, first of all. If you remember 2022 Olympic Games, Putin is visiting Beijing and standing right to Xi Jinping, and they were talking about something about what. So I would think that they were discussing the plans. Actually, it was already everywhere on any media in the world, that Russia is preparing for a mass-scale attack. So I would think that at this time, communist leader of China, he just pushed Putin to do that. He assured that it will be all okay. And I think it's in the interest, of course, in China, not in the interest of Russia, to start that war. China needs weak Russia. China needs weak Western countries, civilized countries, or Western markets, where China has the primary interest to sell their goods. And they also have an interest to be a world power #1, according to the Mao Zedong plan that was written in 1949, that in 2049, China should be...
In 100 years.
Should be a world power, but not by military means, not by fighting wars.
By all means, let's put it that way.
But by economic or other means, information and other players in the world. And this player happened to be Russia.
Okay. Then secondly, what you've stated, Donald Trump's plan. So do you think Donald Trump sees any other option for Ukraine?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about Donald Trump. I cannot get into his head. But actually what he is doing, I see, and this is not some kind of secret thing, what he is doing, I think it's a game that pushes Europe and NATO countries to wake up. There's nothing new here. But I think it's about a time.
I'd be honest with you. I'd say there's nothing bad in this.
Exactly. So maybe he has another plans. Maybe he has something in his mind. But I can assure you, from logical perspective, that most probably he sees, as he says, America is first. So all interests, first of all, goes to America in his mind, in his head. That's why he chooses, let's say, quite strange people to be in, very important positions, like Secretary of Defense, State Secretary, or General Bureaucracy, or other very important positions. And other thing is that by doing, he's actually not just saying, but he's pushing Europe to take responsibility for what is happening in Ukraine. And I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Let's say at a certain point, Russia and Ukraine start some kind of peace talks. And let's say those peace talks will end in some kind of truce. Seems good enough, but let's not forget that Russia has concentrated more than 600,000 troops in the combat zone, and its economy is already in war mode. So what then? What would follow after those peace talks?
This is a very serious question. And we talked about Donald Trump, about the United States. I think the things that you have mentioned are even more important. Because even if Russia would like, or Kremlin or regime would like to stop the war, how they can do that now? I mean, you cannot just take out more than 500,000 soldiers who are trained, and not just trained, but they already killed people on front line.
They know what to do. They know what to do on the battlefield. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the question.
So you cannot just take them back to Russia, because why? Why you should do that? Well, we have seen already terrible things after Second World War. Western world. In Russia and Soviet Union, it was a bit simpler, because the veterans, they were just left on the ground somewhere to rot, and that's it. But now, you have to understand that you have to give a direction, or what I'm saying, you have to give another goal to this horde to do something, because you cannot just maintain them somewhere.
Exactly.
in your country. So this is even more important than election of Donald Trump for Europe and for NATO countries and for Baltic States, and especially for I think Lithuania, and Poland, of course, because we have that ground which is very important for Russia. I'm talking about access to Kaliningrad. And I see Poland behaving very smartly. You are building up your military might. I've read that I think your defense ministry last week or week before that ordered already to make another several hundred HIMARS systems. So you see that, and I believe it's not a wake-up call already. It's a shout, it's a scream. Look to this, what's happening. After we sign truce, after we sign peace, Russia will not stop. Russia will have to put somewhere these 600,000 soldiers, which are bloodthirsty.
And this is what we have to keep in mind. Aurimas, thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope to see you again in our studio. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was a Special Operations Forces officer and defense and security expert, Aurimas Navys. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.